All right, so you're planning a school trip to Washington, D.C.? That's awesome. It's an incredible opportunity for students. But let's be real, for the teachers and parents making it all happen, the planning usually kicks off with one giant question. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the real costs. We'll give you the numbers, we'll talk about the trade-offs, and you'll walk away ready to build a realistic budget. Yep, this is it. This is the number one question we hear. Doesn't matter if it's an 8th grade class or a high school group, that budget, it can feel like the most overwhelming part of the whole planning process, right? But getting it right, that is the absolute key to an amazing trip. So let's get you a clear answer. Okay, to get there, we're going to follow this simple roadmap. First up, we'll tackle the single biggest budget decision, how you're actually going to travel. Then we'll dive into hotels, daily costs, and all those essential little details you really can't forget. And it's all going to lead to a bottom line number you can use for your own planning. All right, let's set the scene here. We're talking about your typical middle or high school trip, right? Usually you're looking at about 3 or 4 days. And guess what? Your very first decision is also the most important one for your budget. And that big first decision is fly or take a motor coach. I mean, this single choice is going to shape your trip's cost and all the logistics right from the get-go. So which one is right for your group? Let's figure it out. So here's the basic trade-off. Flying, yeah, it gets you there way faster, but that per-person cost is just significantly higher. A motor coach, on the other hand, is definitely the budget-friendly option. But here's the real kicker. With a bus, your transportation is solved for the entire trip. That is a massive logistical win, you have no idea. Now, if you do decide to fly, you gotta be prepared for this number. Airfare has just gone up. It's a fact, so budgeting at least $300, maybe even $400 plus per person, that's a realistic starting point. Unfortunately, yeah, those sub $200 fares are just much, much harder to find these days. But you can be smart about it. To get better pricing, try to avoid that peak season from, say, March to June. You'll also find that flying midweek, think Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, is often way cheaper than trying to compete with all the business travelers for seats on Mondays and Fridays. Okay, now what if you go with the bus? Well, it's all about efficiency. See, the cost of that big coach gets spread across all the paying students. And the magic number you're aiming for? It's 50. If you can hit that target, it means everyone gets the absolute best price possible. All right, so we've got transportation sorted. Your next biggest line item is, you guessed it, where you're going to stay. Your accommodation, where you pick a hotel in or around DC, is going to have a huge impact on both your budget and your daily schedule. You know, it's actually helpful to think of DC hotels in about 4 different zones. First, you've got City Center. That's the most expensive, but hey, you're right there, walking distance to the White House. Then as you move out to downtown and then to downtown adjacent areas like Arlington, and finally all the way out to the suburbs like Fairfax, well, the price drops with each step you take. So it really just boils down to a simple choice. Are you going to pay with your money or are you going to pay with your time? A closer hotel costs more, period. A cheaper, suburban hotel? Well, that could mean you're spending an hour, maybe even more, commuting each way every single day. And that's precious time you're not spending inside the museums. Okay, so you've arrived. You're all checked in? Awesome. Now it's time to factor in those day-to-day costs. We're talking keeping everyone fed and, of course, exploring all the incredible sights DC has to offer. Let's look at a typical breakdown for meals. A lot of those suburban hotels actually include breakfast, which is a fantastic budget saver right off the bat. For lunch, you should probably plan on $15 to $20, using options like food courts or vouchers. And then for dinner, look, you can go cheaper, but we really recommend a sit-down meal. It just gives everyone a chance to relax, recharge, and actually talk about everything they saw and did that day. And now for the absolute best news for your budget. This is one of the things that makes DC so unique. Most of its world-class attractions are completely free. Seriously, the entire Smithsonian complex won't cost you a single dime. Now just be sure to check for timed passes. Some places, like the Holocaust Museum, you have to book way in advance. And there are a few key sites, like Mount Vernon, for example, that do have an entry fee you'll need to factor in. Okay, we're getting super close to the bottom line. I promise. But first, we have to talk about some essential background costs. You know, the stuff that ensures your trip runs smoothly and safely from start to finish. There are 2 costs you absolutely cannot forget. First up, a tour manager. Think of this person as your logistical genius on the ground. They're handling everything from the bus schedule to hotel check-ins so you don't have to. Second is travel insurance. The rules have changed, and now groups have to purchase this on their own, independently. Honestly, it's a total non-negotiable for your peace of mind. All right, we did it. We've covered transportation, hotels, food, and all those logistical details. So let's put it all together and get you that solid number you can use as a real starting point for your budget planning. So here it is, the big number. As a general rule of thumb, you can plan on budgeting somewhere between $200 and $250 per student per day. That's a really great baseline for a well-planned trip, especially with a group of about 40 to 50 students. Now, this is super important, so listen up. That $200 to $250 a day figure, that's for a trip using a motor coach. It does not include the cost of flights. So, if you're planning to fly, you've got to add that $300 to $400 airfare cost right on top of this daily estimate. Got it? So there you have it. You've got the numbers, you understand the trade-offs. The question isn't just how much is this going to cost anymore. Now, the real question is, what kind of unforgettable, amazing educational experience will you create for your students?